Hi, welcome to Kenpo Circle number 8. In this episode, I'm going to talk about Conquering Shield and Advancing Phoenix. They're basically the same exact technique, just a little bit difference in interpretation in how they do the technique, and both techniques are in short 3. Now, Conquering Shield, depending on your system, whether it's 16, 24, it's usually around green belt that you learn this technique. And Advancing Phoenix in White Tiger and Tracy's, you learn this in blue belt. So Conquering Shield is an American Kenpo technique, and that, like I said, it's usually around a green belt. So let me first review Advancing Phoenix. Now, one of the first differences between the two, as in with every technique pretty much in the Tracy and White Tiger system, is American Kenpo does not have A, B, C, and D variations. They have the one technique, and then later on, it's usually sometime around brown belt and above, you start learning the extensions to those techniques. So they don't have the variations like we do. So Advancing Phoenix is for a grab on the A version. It's a straight arm wrist grab, or straight arm lapel grab, or shoulder grab. So the first thing you do is we're going to use a forearm strike to just above the elbow joint. At the same time, we're going to pin the hand and throw a front snap kick to the inside of the knee or thigh area. Then we rechamber, we set down into a soft bow as our elbow comes up and down. And if you've done this enough times, the drop of the body weight and the striking of the elbow on the arm will be at the exact same time. And you land into a soft bow, hand comes back into chamber, you shift back to your fighting stance, uppercut elbow to the chin, followed by an eye rake back down to, or a face rake back down into a soft bow. The B version, like I said, American Kenpo does not have it. It's really basically the same technique, except you have a punch with the grab. So obviously your block goes to the punch instead of the grab, and you do the exact same move. So the only one we're going to focus on in this episode is the A variation, because that's the same one that American Kenpo teaches, which they call Conquering Shield. Now, in my years of learning American Kenpo and learning from different instructors and different students, because most martial artists, they trade information, they learn from each other, and I'm no different. Any chance I get to meet someone who knows something I don't know, I'm more than happy to learn from them and exchange information. And in this particular case, I've seen this technique done about 4 different ways. One major, not major, but one that's really different, and then the other 3 are just slightly variations. So let's start with one of the ways they do this. As far as the block and the initial move, it's pretty much the same. Depending on your instructor there again. The first one I'm going to show you is they do an elbow strike as they kick the thigh, then they come down on the arm, elbow, but they don't do a claw, they'll do a heel palm. So when you're doing it in the kata, it looks the exact same way, except they're actually heel palming the nose rather than clawing the face. Also, they don't use a lot of the soft bows. They'll use the drop of body weight or marriage of gravity, but after that they pretty much don't really go into specific soft bows as we would over exaggerate our torquing. So their technique would be here, down, elbow, heel palm. Now the second way I've seen this done differently is instead of blocking or striking the arm, which we try to do, we try to strike the elbow just above the elbow to the tricep tendons in there, and we try to damage those tendons. We try to hyperextend it, we try to tear, anything we can do as close as we can get to the damage we want. The ultimate goal is to break the arm, but it's really not going to happen in that scenario, but we can do some damage to the tendons, which is going to make it harder for them to use the arm. Like I said, the other way I've seen this is they don't forearm strike as much as they'll come in and just raise the arm up and rake through the elbow. So they're assuming the elbow's bent, and they'll rake through it to lock it out. So the motion is more an upwards motion than it is a striking motion. Now when they do this, this sets them up for the drop down. So there's another difference. They're pretty much up and down with this technique, where when we would come in, we would do a circle. So we break, drop the hand up, and bring it back in and around to really get some momentum going and dropping down on that arm to jerk that head forward. Now, as I tell you these differences, I don't want you to think I'm thinking one is better than the other, because it's not. Okay? The way American Kenpo does it is perfectly fine. It's a great technique. It works great. And there again, it's just a different perspective, which is why I'm doing some of these videos on the differences, just so that my students can see how this technique can be done in different ways. Now, if you're not my student, you're somebody else's Kenpo student, don't change what you're doing unless you talk to your instructor, because you still want to be able to pass your test, and they may want it done a specific way. But when you have the opportunity to try to have some free time with the techniques and explore it, try the different ways of working it and find out what would work best for you in the streets, because that's what Kenpo is about. Taking a little bit of this and that and finding out what works best for you to give you the best opportunity for self-defense. So there again, the other way I was showing you was they come up. They come up and rake through that arm and just kind of lock it out that way without really damaging the arm. And they call that the conquering part. So as they come in, they're conquering that arm by raking it up, and then the shield is as you come down. So they'll come in, and then the shield will come down, and then they elbow, and then they heel palm. Now there again, some instructors will actually make that a claw, so that part is pretty much interchangeable. Then the other way I've seen this done, which is a lot different than most, in which case they do the break or the forward arm strike as they throw the kick, and then they drop their arm down, and then they hook that arm slightly back towards the 3 o'clock position to line their hand up with the opponent's face, and then they'll throw a vertical punch to the face. Then they come back down onto the chest to jerk the head back forward, and then they do a heel palm to the face followed by their cross out. So that's one of the big major differences. So rather than doing just the break, elbow, claw, they actually add, so as you come in, let me do this their way. So as you break and you come in and drop that arm, then they'll do the uppercut, and then when they're coming back down, like when we come back down to set it up, they'll come back down and just drive it onto the chest, jerk the head forward, and then they heel palm the face straight out instead of coming down on the face. And those are the different ways I've seen of conquering shield done. And there again, one's not better than the other. It's just the way they do it in a different perspective and look. So rather than doing a forearm strike, then coming down with a big circle, then elbow, then claw, there again, they will come up and maybe rake the arm forward this way, kind of a strike up. So as they're coming up, and they'll come back down. And then they'll hook that arm a little bit, move it out to the side, turn the opponent, elbow the chin, and then either heel palm or claw the face, which is a lot different than the way we do it. Okay? And those are the differences between conquering shield and advancing phoenix. They're both in short three. They're both in the exact same spot. They're pretty close to each other as far as where they're found in the rank. They're just a different perspective in the way they look. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of your Kenpo Corner, and I hope to see you in the next one. So until we meet again, keep moving forward, and all the best on your Kenpo journey.